Just look at that, guys. When was the last time we seen green bubbles like that with big moves on the altcoins after a capitulation to the downside and complete fear within the market? We've got SUI nearly 32%. We've got Pepe 18.6%. In fact, I'm going to do a video on Pepe because it's breaking out of a serious trend now, and that's something that I wanted to talk about. But in this video, we need to look at one thing. We need to look at the macro perspective, what Bitcoin's doing. Unfortunately, we have to find out what Bitcoin's doing, what impact it's had on the dominance. Will total 3 recover? And I've got one chart, the Russell 2000, which is making gains. And remember, this is going to be the forward leading indicator. It's not crypto, it is stocks. This is going to be the forward leading indicator. High risk liquidity flows through stocks before it flows through crypto. And the Russell 2000 represents high risk stocks. And that's something that I want to show you guys and focus on in this video, along with the other macro charts collectively, to paint that picture on what we need to happen next, what's likely to happen next, and how to prepare for both scenarios. Let's dive in. So what does the bigger picture look like? We need to focus on Bitcoin today, and we need to focus on the macro charts. We could see the altcoins are performing all right. The big moves on the altcoins, 16%, 19%, 33%, 12%, 27%, 20%. Remember those numbers. Now we look at Bitcoin. What has Bitcoin done? So Bitcoin today has done a whopping 1.85%. 1.85% on Bitcoin. Altcoins are absolutely smashing Bitcoin today. We're going to look at the dominance very shortly. So I used 3 Fibonacci numbers on my retracement. The main Fibonacci numbers for me is 78.6. That's the deep one. 61.8. That's the golden. The 38.2. That's the shallow one. So this is going to indicate how strong a trend is. We need to start climbing back up to the 38.2 and regaining the 38.2 as a shelf by breaking through it as resistance. Now, I'm going to bring another fib in on this one because this is good once you've had a capitulation or a big move to the downside to indicate the first sign of a reversal. And that's the 23.6. So the 23.6 is a sign, guys. It is a sign that in the short term, if you break the 236, you're likely to go back and test the 38.2% as resistance. Then it's holding a higher low. Then it's breaking through the 38.2. Exactly the same as this in reverse. You can see, come back down. What have you hit? 61.8. You've come up. What have you hit? 78.6. You come down, nearly hit the 38.2, lower high, coming all the way back down. See how these Fibonacci numbers are respected. Resistance, resistance, resistance. You're breaking through, and that's what we need to do in the short term. That 236 is sitting at, get it on there. That 236 is sitting at 90,000. 91,504. So that's the first indication. We need to hold 91,504 by the end of today before we can go back and test this shelf at 98,046. Remember, key psychological round number 100,000. Breaking 100,000 in the short term over the next few weeks is going to be bullish for Bitcoin. So what impact does this have on dominance? Because we've seen a little bit of a scare where dominance was pushing up. And one thing that we don't want to see is push to the upside whilst Bitcoin starts eating away at the altcoin market cap. Because what happens? That's the start of a bear market. We can zoom out and we can look back. This ascending wedge is a bear market. This is where Bitcoin continues to go up. Bitcoin dominance rises whilst Bitcoin eats away at the market cap of crypto as a whole. So Bitcoin is the market cap leader. When you put Bitcoin collectively against all of the altcoins, currently it is 59.59% of the market share. So we're looking for dominance to come down. We're looking for dominance to come down hard. What we want is something like this, a repeat of 2021. That's this one, 2021 and 2017. So we're waiting for this drop from this wedge to confirm the next alt season. Flip it in reverse, what happens? Flip it in reverse, we keep going up, we keep going up, we keep going up. Altcoins get decimated while Bitcoin goes up for 3 years. And that doesn't seem likely to me when we don't have euphoria and we don't have any kind of risk on. So the next thing we're going to look at is the total 3. Now, total 3, we need some kind of recovery on here. One thing that I did say is we want to break, we want to close of the previous all-time high of total 3. We haven't got that. We got a rejection at this level, and then we've had a pullback. Now, is this drastic? Is this the end of the world? What have we done? We've maintained a higher low structure. So that potentially means if Bitcoin gets a recovery, we could start pushing up, taking back these fib levels, and then bang on the ceiling once again. And here's an indication that we're going to bang on the ceiling once again, because remember, the total 3 high risk crypto, everything out of Bitcoin, everything out of Ethereum collectively. So that is high risk. And what can we look for high risk as far as front running is concerned? We can look at the Russell 2000. We've been saying it for months. Russell 2000, it's had a breakout, it's come back down, it retraced, it's come back up. This showed strength, and now we're holding one thing, 2,464. We zoom out, we zoom out, we zoom out. What does that coincide with? Previous all-time high of Russell 2000. So we've broken it. We're holding as support. And as long as we hold this as support and then push to the upside, that is going to have a catalyst effect as far as total three is concerned. So we'll start seeing these big swings if the Russell 2000 takes back this level, regains it as support, and then pushes to the upside, putting in new all-time highs. So that's positive for me. Next thing, S&P 500. So S&P 500, this was the scare. We pulled out of this ascending channel. Once we pulled out of the ascending channel, we'd expected there was a high probability of a rejection. However, S&P done its own thing, come back into the channel, and that created positivity within the market as far as off risk is concerned. S&P off risk stocks, Bitcoin off risk as far as crypto is concerned. It doesn't mean Bitcoin's not risky. It means it's less risky than the rest of the cryptocurrencies. And everybody knows that because it's stood the test of time. It's got the biggest share of the market cap. Next thing is going to be the dollar. How strong is the dollar? How strong is the USDT dominance, the dominance of the tether? So we have got a rejection here. We've got a double top here, and we've come back down and we've dropped our 78.6% retracement with the next targets all the way back down here at 5.588%. So that's going to indicate people spending their USDT as well as one thing. People spending it and then putting it into altcoins. While altcoin eats away at the market cap, it brings down the dominance of the US dollar tether within the whole of the crypto market cap collectively. And that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see people having the confidence to spend their USDT. Then it's the Dixie guys, Dixie, Dixie, Dixie. We want the Dixie to drop. We want the Dixie to drop because we want a weak dollar. When we've got a weak dollar, that means that manufacturing strong within the US. That's what Mr. Trump wants. He wants to be able to export goods. For him to export goods, he needs a weak dollar so other currencies can afford the manufacturing products that they've made in the United States and they can export them at a fair price. So we want a weak dollar. Trump wants a weak dollar. A weak dollar creates manufacturing in the US. It creates exporting at more favorable levels. So that's the part of the cycle, guys. That's how the cycle works. Every time we've got a weak dollar, we've got a strong economy. Every time we've got a strong dollar, we've got a weak economy because people flood into the dollar in times of fear. That's why we want to see a weak dollar. And that's why the US even wants to see a weak dollar. You can see a bit of a breakout here. This is gold. So we've got a gold breakout. Are we going to put in a new all-time high on gold? Let's have a look. Creating a pennant, it's come back down, it's pushed up, it's holding that as support, and then we've got an all-time high of 4,337. Gold's trading at 4,206. So it's going to be interesting to monitor that as well. The next thing and the last thing is going to be the VIX, the volatility index of the S&P. And what this does is it measures how scary the market is at any given time. This is when the market's scary up here. This is when there's extreme fear in the market. This is when there's extreme fear in the market. Where are we? All the way down here at 16.43. So although that the market feels like it's being fearful over the last couple of weeks, there's indications from a macro perspective that things potentially could turn around. So we're going to monitor this together. We're going to stay together and we're going to monitor this on this channel, guys. So make sure you do subscribe and I'll keep doing macro updates. And I'm going to do an altcoin video later on because there's certain altcoins that are breaking out like Peppycoin now. And I want to show you exactly what I'm looking at on the chart and what resistance barriers I'm expecting before Peppycoin gets a real breakout.